Hello, it is Reviews Day Tuesday and I'm going to do something a little bit different today. A few weeks ago I had a request for a DVD collection video and I thought that sounded pretty fun. So today and tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit about my DVD collection. I have decided to split this video into two because otherwise it could be pretty long. I mean, even with it being split into two it could still be quite long. So today I am going to talk about films that I have on DVD, and tomorrow I am going to talk about TV shows and series that I have on DVD. My DVD collection isn't massive, but it's okay. I don't download TV or films, so the things that I own, I tend to own on DVD. But I don't usually buy DVDs unless they're on offer or in a charity shop, so my collection is maybe slightly patchy, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. My collection is also quite disorganised. It's on some shelves and in some drawers, so this video has encouraged me to at least try and organise my DVDs slightly better so that it will make some kind of sense. So let's start. I'm going to start with Blu-rays because I own a grand total of 3, and those 3 are Mad Max Fury Road, which is one of my very favourite films, and also the 2 most recent Star Wars films, so The Force Awakens, which has this sleeve, and Rogue One, which also has a sleeve. The reason why I own these 3 films on Blu-ray is that I wanted to be able to watch these films specifically in HD, but I pretty much always get DVDs instead of Blu-rays because they're cheaper and also they're more convenient for me personally to watch. So now I'm going to move on to box sets, sort of, and let's stick with Star Wars. That makes sense. These are my Star Wars DVDs. I only got these just before Force Awakens came out in the cinema because I wanted to re-watch the original films. Before that I didn't have Star Wars, I would just watch it when it was on TV. Then I have this Blues Brothers box set, which includes the original film and also the sequel Blues Brothers 2000. I was a big fan of the Blues Brothers when I was a kid. Now some Marvel films. I have this box set of 6 films. It has Iron Man the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, and Avengers Assemble. Avengers Assemble was the first Marvel film that I watched. I saw it in the cinema. When it came out on DVD, this box set also came out, so I bought this so that I could watch the previous films. Of course, having caught up, I then immediately got behind again because now I tend to watch Marvel films when they come on Netflix, so I'm usually about a film or 2 behind at any point. I also have 2 other Marvel films, and those are Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, I still haven't seen the second one, and Deadpool. And then I have the Bourne collection, which has the first 3 Bourne films in it, and I also have the Bourne Legacy separately. I quite like the Bourne films. I also have this box set of Quentin Tarantino films, which I haven't looked at for quite a long time, to be honest. It has Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, which is probably my favourite, Pulp Fiction, and Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 in it. Men in Black 1 and 2, I love the Men in Black films, especially the first one. I don't have the third one on DVD, I think. And then Shrek 1 and 2, again I don't have the other Shrek films. Lord of the Rings, these are the wonderful extended editions, I love them so much. I also have the standard length editions, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it because they're not here. And then I have the first Hobbit film, but none of the others. I'm waiting to get the extended editions of them. And then finally in box sets, The Hunger Games, all 4 films. Now let's move on to Disney. I own fewer Disney films than I thought I did. I own quite a few of the 80s and 90s Disney animations on video still, so if we were to include videotapes, then we could, I guess, double or triple this number. Anyway, these are the Disney films that I have here. Mary Poppins, classic. Frozen, which is a pretty standard one to have, I think. Into the Woods, which I quite enjoy. Inside Out, which I got for Christmas a year or so ago and really love. Zootropolis, also known as Zootopia. Big Hero 6, which is probably my favourite animation in a while. And Cinderella, which is probably my favourite live-action Disney. Now let's talk about some musicals, one of my favourite genres. Let's start with some classics. I've got There's No Business Like Show Business. I love Donald O'Connor. Singing in the Rain is one of my favourite films, and it's an example of one of the ones that I don't own on DVD. Oliver, which I also love, and West Side Story, which I got a couple of years ago because I'd never seen it, and it felt increasingly shameful that I had never seen it. So now I have. And then we have this DVD, which is a celebration of classic MGM film musicals, which isn't technically a film itself. This is a recording of one of the BBC proms from, I think, 2009. It was the first John Wilson prom, John Wilson being a conductor who reconstructed the scores of famous MGM musicals, and now he has a prom every year. But this is the first, and it was extremely popular, which is how it ended up as a DVD. Once, which I love, it also spawned the hit musical The Producers and Chicago and Dreamgirls. And then we have Sweeney Todd and also The Nightmare Before Christmas, and a few more: Mamma Mia, Hairspray, the more recent adaptation, Pitch Perfect, which isn't one of my favourites, and Walk the Line, and also The Jersey Boys. I also have two different versions of The Phantom of the Opera. I have the Gerard Butler film version, and then I have the 25th anniversary Royal Albert Hall live version, which is very good but very long, and I have only seen the first half. I also have two different versions of Les Miserables. I have the film version, and I also have the 25th anniversary of this, which was live at the O2, and I actually saw this live. This is a semi-staged one though, whereas the Phantom of the Opera 25th anniversary live performance is actually fully staged, though I think I actually prefer the Les Mis one, although that might be because I was there, or it might be because I prefer the musical, or it might be because I've seen the whole thing, because it's not really long. Anyway, I've got one more musical, and it's my favourite musical, Billy Elliot. It's a live performance of the show, which I was so happy to learn was going to be a thing, especially now the show has closed. And also, I have watched a lot of filmed versions of stage shows, and this is definitely my favourite. I think it's the best filmed one I've seen. Speaking of filmed versions of live shows, here are some more. We're now in the Shakespeare category, and these are my Shakespeare's Globe DVDs. They are also the only thing in my DVD collection in alphabetical order, so let's cherish this moment. Firstly, something that isn't actually Shakespeare, but let's gloss over that. Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. This one had Arthur Darvill starring. Then All's Well That Ends Well, which is my favourite Shakespeare play. As You Like It, which is probably one of my favourite Globe plays. It had Jamie Parker in it, pre-Harry Potter. And then more Jamie Parker in Henry IV Part 1 and 2 with Roger Allam as Falstaff, and then in Henry V as well. And then we jump straight to Henry VIII, which had Dominic Rowan, Love's Labour's Lost, which I remember as another great Globe production, Macbeth with Joseph Milson and Samantha Spiro, The Merry Wives of Windsor, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and that's Michelle Terry, the new artistic director of Shakespeare's Globe. Much Ado About Nothing, this one had Eve Best and Charles Edwards. Othello, this production was actually on before I started going to Shakespeare's Globe, so I am very happy that it was released on DVD so that I can see it. Romeo and Juliet, The Taming of the Shrew, another Samantha Spiro one. This is also one of the ones that I never actually saw live. The Tempest, which had Roger Allam and Colin Morgan, and then Twelfth Night, which had Stephen Fry and Sam Barnett and Mark Rylance. So those are all the Shakespeare's Globe DVDs that I own. It's worth noting that they're not all the Globe DVDs that exist. I haven't bought any in a couple of years. And then I have one final Shakespeare DVD, which is Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing, which I really enjoy. I think it's a good adaptation of Much Ado. So this next category I am calling period drama. It could also pretty much be the Keira Knightley category because she's in so many of these films. First up, Pride and Prejudice. I really liked this film. Then Becoming Jane, which was the one with Anne Hathaway. Atonement is next. Amazing Grace, which is about the abolition of the slave trade. Gosford Park, which I haven't watched for many years. The Duchess, where we meet Keira Knightley yet again. And finally, The Young Victoria. Now I'm moving on to a category which I am tentatively calling children's films. Arthur Christmas, which is my very favourite Christmas film. I watch it every year. Happy Feet. I actually have a little cuddly toy version of Mumble the penguin in Happy Feet. The Secret Garden, which I got after I read the book and loved it, but I have yet to watch this film. Freaky Friday, which takes me back. And Stormbreaker, which again takes me back. Let's talk about some action films now. I have 3 James Bond films: Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall. I quite like Casino Royale and Skyfall. I have no feelings really about Quantum of Solace at all. I also have Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. Fight Club. I've read the book of Fight Club as well as the film. Really good. Hannah is a film that I'd recommend. We have the original Transformers film from a few years ago. Randomly Mission Impossible 3 and none of the other ones. And also The Italian Job, the more recent remake with Mark Wahlberg. I prefer the original, but I do really enjoy this one, which is why I have it. And finally 300, the Gerard Butler film. Now we're on to miscellaneous superheroes. I have Batman Begins and no other Batman films. I have seen all of them. I only own this one. Watchmen, I loved the original graphic novel and I think this is a really great adaptation of it. Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil. I thought I had Elektra as well, but it turns out I don't. This feels like it was 100 years ago. X-Men 3. In this case, I do actually have X-Men 1 and 2, but I have them on video. And then I have Spider-Man 1, 2 and 3. These are the Tobey Maguire ones. I have yet to see the Andrew Garfield and the Tom Holland ones, due to my endless being behind with everything. On to another one of my favourite genres, sci-fi and fantasy. I'll start with the Harry Potter series. 1 to 8 are here. I only had the Philosopher's Stone on video until a year or so ago, and I finally bought it in a charity shop on DVD. And then the Chronicles of Narnia. I have The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I really like this series. I wish they'd continued making them. Attack the Block, which is one of my favourite films in recent years. Inception, which is another one of my favourite films. And then The Martian, which is another one of my favourite films, and I also love the book. Star Trek, the new one, the J.J. Abrams one. You've guessed it, I haven't seen the sequel yet. I have the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean films. Independence Day, a film which I have watched a lot over the years, but only recently got on DVD. Cabin in the Woods, which is one of my favourite horror films. Serenity, which I love so much. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Martin Freeman one. I also have the original series somewhere. The Golden Compass, based on Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. It was a shame that they never continued with this series. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Does anybody else remember this film? Donnie Darko, I haven't seen this in a long time. Twilight. I have the first Twilight film on DVD. I think it was just before the second film came out on DVD that I stopped liking Twilight. War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise film. I, Robot, the Will Smith film. I have the original short story this was based on and I have yet to read it. And Children of Men, which is a fantastic film and I'd recommend watching it. Okay, we have one category left to go. We're nearly there. We can do it. This category is comedy and drama and anything else. There were far too many films where I couldn't decide if they were comedy or drama, so I've just put everything together. First, The Theory of Everything, the Eddie Redmayne film where he plays Stephen Hawking. Then Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I got this and the original series at the same time, but I have watched this and I haven't watched the series yet. The King's Speech, I really enjoyed this film. The Social Network and Slumdog Millionaire. The Revenant, which I watched recently, it's very good. Gladiator, which at one time was my favourite film. It's still one of my favourite films. Memoirs of a Geisha, which I have not watched for years and years. I have the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo films, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Really enjoy these films, also the books. The Others, which used to be my favourite horror film. The Girl with a Pearl Earring. I should probably watch this film again as well. There are so many films that I haven't watched in a long time. He's Just Not That Into You, romantic comedy, massive cast. Get Over It. Fun fact, this is the first DVD I ever bought. And for quite a while I think I only owned 2 DVDs and this was one of them and I can't remember what the other one was. 13 Going on 30. I enjoy this film. I ended up watching a bit of it when it was on TV a few weeks ago. Starter for 10, the University Challenge film with James McAvoy. Love Actually. I feel like everybody owns a copy of Love Actually. 500 Days of Summer. And then Kingsman. I'm looking forward to the sequel. Pride. I love this film. I watched it a couple of weeks back. Happy Go Lucky. I found this to be quite an odd film. It was good, but I found it quite odd. Bend It Like Beckham. I think this is an early DVD for me. It also reminds me of the film Wimbledon, which I also really enjoyed. And it should be in this video, but it's not. I wonder where it's gone. The Kids Are All Right with Annette Bening and Julianne Moore. Very good film. St. Trinian's, and also I own St. Trinian's too, but it's not here. I'm missing a couple of films. Eddie the Eagle, which is a recent purchase for me. Good film. Yes Man, which I still really enjoy. I also like the book it's based on by Danny Wallace. And About a Boy, look how young Nicholas Hoult was. Beetlejuice is here. America's Sweethearts. I remember very little about this film, but I have watched it quite a lot. And then we have 3 Oceans films. We have Oceans 11 and Oceans 12 and Oceans 13, although I feel like Oceans 11 is the only one that I really like. And finally The History Boys, which I think is a good one to end on because I love The History Boys, and so many of the cast are ridiculously famous now. So those are all the films that I own on DVD, or rather all but 2 of them. I hope you found this fun or interesting. I'm sorry if it's got a bit long. Now we should all have a break before we get to part 2 tomorrow and I talk about TV shows for ages. Let's move across to the end screen. Below me here you will be able to watch my latest video and also part 2 of this video when it is up. And if you fancy it, you can subscribe to my channel or visit my website beside me here. I'd love to know some of your favourite films, and if you have any particular thoughts or memories of any of the films I have talked about today. I will be back tomorrow with another slightly too long video about DVDs. So I hope you have a great day, and I will see you then.